Hello friends, welcome back to Life Cycle. Today we are going to talk about another stage on FIRE. We have already covered a couple of videos on FIRE, that is financial independence and retire early. If you have missed these videos, please watch it over here. To brief out, in our first two episodes of FIRE, we discussed what is FIRE and why FIRE is important and how to achieve it. Later, we talked about the first stage of 11 stages in FIRE, that is income. Here, we mentioned how to earn additional income in this world and how to grow in our career if we are already employed. Today, we will discuss budget. This budget makes you feel either very simple or complex, but it's neither of that. It's a critical response to your financial planning. Let's see why we need this budget first of all. The budget provides high-level view of your needs and wants. So what is the difference between these needs and wants? Needs means the things you can't truly live without, such as housing, food, education, transport, etc. And wants means things such as expensive cars, tablets, expensive houses, unplanned and costly trips, etc. Next, let's discuss what is the use of budget. The budget provides clear view of the below. It gives us overall income and debts, helps in planning, gets you financial discipline, finds your cash flow. A budget will highlight your income and debts, and along with that, it helps you find your expensive and unnecessary purchases if you are doing any. Over the long run, the budget can help you plan appropriately based on your income and save cash flow for your savings and investments in your FIRE journey. Along with that, the budget slowly builds a financial discipline over the time. By looking at your budget, you will be able to reduce your expensive and unnecessary purchases. Most importantly, it defines your cash flow. Cash flow or net balance is what we are looking for our FIRE journey. To invest in the market or to save for emergency funds, the cash flow is very important. So we have discussed why we need budget and what is budget. Let's take a look at how we can plan a budget. And to plan a budget, it doesn't need to be much complex. All you need is a pen and calculator, or if you have a mobile or a laptop, you can do by using a spreadsheet. In this video, I will use Google Sheets, which is available for free for everyone. And similarly, we can plan the same in our diary in our budget notes. Let's see how to budget in Google Sheets. Here for planning for the budget, we are using Google Sheets actually. You can also use Microsoft Excel or any other tools. In fact, you can even use simple diary or anything else. But I am using Google Sheets because it's free for many people, and you can also have an app on your mobile which comes by default from Google or any other company. So to create a budget sheet, you have to go to Google and Google Sheets, then click on From Template. If you go to the From Template screen, you will see most of the templates here. And since I opened already, so I can see my annual budget and monthly budget sheets here. But if you are first time, you have to check it out on personal sheet, which is annual budget and monthly budget. So let's go back to Google Sheets now. So over there, so we can find monthly sheet and annual sheet, but I go for monthly budget. So once you open that, the instructions are very clear. So it gives clearly on top of the section that you should modify only the highlighted cells, so which are in the cream color. So that's the main important thing. So don't edit any other sections, because it will automatically update based on your configurations in the cream color cells. So that's the first step, and keep in mind that thing. Okay, and here if you see that we have a lot of sections here like starting balance, monthly budget, and increase in total savings percentage, and how much we saved this month, and expenses, what are planned and what is actual. So all this information is available right here on the dashboard, which is very clear and very important for planning the budget. And also when you are planning the budget, we have to plan for next month by end of this month. For example, right now we are in July month, so we have to plan for month of August. So first thing, let's go with starting balance. So starting balance is like how much you have by end of the July. So by July 31st, how much money you have in your balance. So let's assume it's 1 lakh rupees. So that's what we are going to go for. Then we have to see, like we have sections here which explain very clearly income and expenses. So this is what we have to plan, and all the details on top of it will be automatically populated. If you see here, so all the income and expenses, they are like we have the fields and everything mentioned there. And once you have all this planned, you will get this information auto-populated based on your numbers. So that's really good, right? So let's deep dive and see like what we can plan there. So, okay, if you go to income, we have like all the sections of the income right here. And similarly on the left, we have expenses where we have like all the sections, and it shows plan, actual, and how much is the difference. Difference is the section which will explain like how we differed from our planning. And similarly, we have transaction screen where it will list each and every transaction you make. And let's go back to summary. So in summary, so if you go for here, it shows what's the planned income and what's the difference, and what's your savings you are estimating, bonus, and you can also add any number of categories here that's completely customizable. So for example, instead of savings, I can do anything. So for example, instead of rents here, I want to change it to something else. So I will change from others to rents. Similarly, I can change my customer category to others. So that's simple. So that's very straightforward. So once you update it here, that's all you have to do it. So there's similarly you can change in your expenses as well to change all these categories. So which is really good and cool with the Google Sheets. I like it very much, and I use it on every month to do my budget as well. So if you go to transactions here, you can see the category section, and you have a section called rents now. So which was not there earlier, but since we added it in the summary section, so it will come automatically. So which is super nice. So once you go to the income tab, so let's expect how much income we are expecting from our savings. Savings is section like where you get from a bank or someone who you give to somebody some back time and they're giving back to you. So that's called savings amount. Let's assume we get it about like 1000. And next one is like paycheck. Paycheck is basically your salary, how much amount you're expecting for month of August. So let's see, it's about like 25,000 for me. And maybe you can have calculate bonus, maybe you're expecting 1000. That's a good amount. So similarly, you can plan for interest, rents. So let's assume our rents are going to be 10,000, and others are like it can be anything. So if you have something else, you can add a name for that. So this is all planned. If you see, our total plan is 37,000, but our actual is saying 1500. So that's because we didn't do our transactions yet. So that's what is planned. So but actual is mentioned here. So we can check it out here. So that's our actual payments, how much we got the income. So it's showing in 2000s. Let's move on to 2020 here. So we're going to 2020 and month of August. So yeah, let's see. Let's assume our salary is like 24,500 instead of 25,000. Maybe there's some extra cuttings there. So if you see here, so the difference has been calculated automatically, and on top of it you can see how much is income, how much is planned. That's automatically updated as well. And let's come back to transactions. Here you can see what are the other sections like bonus. Let's assume I think we planned for 1000 rupees as a bonus, but let's say see we have like 1500 instead of 1000. So yeah, so you can plan and can add whatever sections here. So all the sections are very customizable. You can update it there, which is nice. If you are doing on Microsoft Excel, please remember you will also have these kind of things back in there in Excel as well. You can download it from Microsoft Factory. Here I'm going to change the locale. So by default it's on US, so I'm trying to change it to India, hoping it will change my date format. So it's reloading. Hopefully it will change the date format. So yeah, looks like it didn't. So by default the format is like month, date and year. Please don't worry about that anymore. Okay, let's add other sections. Let's see rents. In rents, if you see here, you can add 8,000. Let's instead of we planned about like we'll get rents of about 10,000, but actually we might got only 8,000. It can be because of there's some repairs we need to do on a home. So eventually, so it got reduced to 8,000 instead of 10,000. So always add description for your transactions because that's important in future. If you look back, if you want to know like why we got less, why we got that particular amount, that will help us in reminding that, because as humans we tend to forget things which are not so important. So yeah, it's good to add dates and description for each and every transaction. That's super nice. And similarly, we can add our expenses here, like our rents, our home loans, our debts and everything. So let's start with home loans. Let's see, our home loans date is like 2020 and August. And let's go back to August now, and maybe my date is like August 20th. So I update that date here, and I'll define like what home loans and how much is the amount right here. Let's assume it's 15,000 is the amount for my home loans. Similarly, I can add other things like food. Food is like our grocery expenses or anything else which comes with that, like groceries and eating out, etc. So we can add healthcare, or we can add transport, utilities, or anything. In fact, we can add that. Let's try to add utilities. Utilities are something like your power bills or water bills or any other taxes, etc. that comes under this category. So which is utilities. Let's assume little conservatively, maybe 1,000 rupees per month. So it is so conservative, I know. Let's go for debt. So in debt, if you find like it's single section, so I prefer having like customized sections. So let's go back and add new sections. You can find here how simple is it to edit in Google Sheets. So you can just add your section right here in the planned budget. So let's say add television EMI. And also if you have a refrigerator, if it has EMI, you can add that as well. So I'm just going to add planned budget for both of them. So yeah, so I think I will update it later. Let's go back and update the expenses right here. So I will be adding television EMI budget as 10,000 rupees as for my television EMI. So as we mentioned before, please add dates and descriptions for each and every transaction. That will help us in future in determining all these things. And as a side note, if you're doing in a diary, or if you're doing in a paper, please keep your sheet handy and save those by using proper formatting. And make sure you're using calculator to get the numbers right. Otherwise, it might not be proper budget. So it's very important to have our numbers correct, and also to note each and every transaction, not to miss anything. So I highly recommend using your phone apps if there's any, if you're comfortable, or if you're not a phone person or not comfortable having everything on digital, feel free to add it on the paper. So if you see here, it's the income planning. If planned income and actual income is deferred, and the total difference is 3,000. Similarly, expenses, we didn't plan anything in the expenses, that's why the total difference is coming out as negative 30,000. We have only default section. So what we see here, we have all the sections and transactions was added. So that's why the difference was so high. So we had to add something in the plan section so that it will be appropriate. So, but in general, we'll be doing expenses planned in income planning by end of the July month rather than in August. Then we will be adding transactions. Remember that. So, okay, let's add all the expenses section in here. So let's assume food is 5,000, home is 1,450, and utilities as 1,000. So it can be anything. So I'm just adding by default how much is the amount. Let's correct the television EMI to 10,000 rather than 20. So it will correct my budget. So if you see here, that's there's a health and medical section. We had to plan that as well in this current situations, and also in future to estimate at least for some of the time. Either it can be useful for medical emergencies or a little bit of medical things like cough or sneezing or something like that. So if you see here, our plan and actual are perfectly same, but ideally it won't be in that fashion, but more or less we should try to be as perfect as we can be for the plannings and actual section. So if you see on our total, our starting balance is 1 lakh, and by end it's like 1,03,000, and our expenses is planned 31,000. Our actual is 31,000. That's really good. We did a great job there. But our income, we planned about 37,000, but our actual is only 34,000, which is not so good. But we can plan much better in future, estimating all the things. And if you see here, it gives us a high level information like what's our total balance is, how much is the percentage change in our savings, etc. And we have to define this expenses section much before, as we discussed earlier. So rather than doing it late in the game, so we have to plan our expenses and income right by end of this month for the next month. So for next month is August, we had to plan by July 31st, each and every planning. Before your paycheck comes into your bank, you should have your budget ready. So that's the biggest goal of the budget. That's budget, guys, in F.I.R.E Journey. In our next video, we're going to discuss about stage 3 in our F.I.R.E Journey, which is know your depth. So we're going to discuss about why knowing your depth is very important and why should you do that, and we'll be having a detailed video in there. And thanks for watching it again. If you like the content, please subscribe and share with your friends, and also click on the bell icon for more updates. Thank you. Thanks for watching.